So we see a lot in the press at the moment about cyber risks, cybersecurity, cyber breaches. I think last week there was details of a $1.5 billion scam that North Korea had put on some Bitcoin exchange in Dubai. So it's clearly on, it's on the front page of most organizations. So tell me a little bit about the importance of, protecting your organization's data, what it means to you.
I think, like most organizations, as you know, data is one of our most valuable assets. It tells us about the information that we have and how we use it, but also we have the big responsibility of protecting people who entrust our data with us.
Yeah.
We try to make sure that we do this by almost doing the basics right, and people often forget the basics. Read recently an organization hadn't checked the backups, for a long time, and
yeah.
So I know it sounds like a little bit of repetition, but I think at the end of the day, do your hygiene. Back up your data, make sure you can recover it, and ensure that make sure that your systems you're using, you're keeping updating them, keeping regularly patched. So these are the most basic of things, but another key element is education as well, and that's probably the hardest bit.
Yeah.
How do you educate people to take responsibility for that? They are responsible for the ownership of the data. So education, but also keeping abreast of ever-changing landscape. So I don't think I've read as much every month or every 2 weeks. I'm reading a threat. A new
threat from somewhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's then you have to say, am I covering these basics? So I think it's important to be able to do that at a very high level. Yeah.
So you mentioned, say key things like backup and probably recovery.
Yes, absolutely.
How have you focused on the actual security? Making sure that, as I say, it's only the right people see the right stuff at the right time. So how have you gone about doing that? Because it's a relatively recent challenge.
And you're right. I think it's also ensuring that you have the right technologies to be able to help do that. So I'm going to give an example of technology that we use to do that. So we use a technology called Varonis that will allow us to classify the data at scale. So we're talking 70, 80 terabytes of data, both on-prem and cloud. So that will scan it. That will tell us where, the type of data we're holding, whether safeguarding, whether is, GDPR, credit card information, payroll information.
Yeah.
So it's quite frightening to discover that, but also most important, who has access to it. So do we know our data at risk is and who has access to it? It's a constant changing landscape. But as we move to the cloud as well, people forget about external links. We discovered recently we had 90 external links that we've been there for years because nobody thought about, making sure that they were thought about.
Yeah.
So now we've got a process in place to make sure that we cover that. And people put in data in the wrong place as well. Putting it, as we move to the cloud, we have, OneDrive, SharePoint, Teams. You get it. So we have to make sure that we're able to identify where that data is.
Yeah. So have you deployed, key technologies, which are your three big three technologies? What do you use for those?
I just mentioned one that Varonis already mentioned, but I think the exciting one is a protocol Arctic Wolf, and what that allows us to do is aggregate telemetry from different systems that protect us of firewall, your laptops, your servers. Imagine that being in one repository where machine learning takes place. I'm not going to use artificial intelligence, but it's machine learning to actually triangulate your threats. So actually, they're looking at from Microsoft Cloud as well. So you're getting all these endpoints into one big area that is your area that will tell you where potential threats might be, but also ensuring that can you take action as well. Your small teams, capability and availability is hard. So you need to make sure that technology allows you to partner with an organization that will act on your behalf. And create playbooks. I would say, actually, if this happens, do this. You can
Yeah.
sleep at easy at night. That's one technology that we use.
Yeah.
The other one is a bit. It's mail filtering.
A little bit old school.
Old school, but you know what? It's still, it still needs to be done.
Yeah.
Example: we 8 million emails we had last year.
Wow.
And I would say a majority of those email, only 20% were relevant.
Yeah.
The rest had malware attachments, phishing attacks, and so the organization doesn't see this, but they've been protecting themselves as well.